Hello and welcome to week 4 of Rhetoric 3326, Technical Writing. This is Dr. Harris, and in this video I'm going to walk us through the assignment for week 4, which is your proposal for the formal report, and talk to you a little bit about a sample proposal that I've written based on the current research that I'm doing that hopefully will help you understand the formatting and reason for writing the report. So first of all, we're starting off at the Blackboard homepage. I want to talk about a small change I've made in the course website. So if you move from here to click on syllabus, you should see that I'm now embedding the weekly introductory videos directly into the course website. So this is the week 3 introduction. I'm recording the week 4 introduction right now, and by the time you watch this video, you should see the week 4 introduction appearing in the website itself. So that's just a small change I wanted to point out. But for the bulk of the video, I want to talk about what's under the Schedule tab for week 4, and that's your 4.1 proposal. Now this proposal is going to be the next step in moving you toward the research report that's going to be due in week 9. And there's the requirements for that formal report. The proposal itself is due in Google Docs by Sunday, February 9th at 11:59 p.m. You'll submit that the same way that you submitted the 2.2 Common Writing Mistakes document and the 3.1 Database and Search Engines document. So at this point you should be familiar with submitting and sharing documents through Google Docs. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm going to click on the proposal link to take us to the description for the proposal. An alternate way of getting to that is by going to the Assignments tab, going down to Report, and moving over to Proposal. They both lead to the same place. So in the week 2 discussion board where you brainstormed with your classmates, you came up with a possible problem and looked at some ways that you could possibly research a solution. In week 4, you're going to formally propose your idea. So this is going to allow me to give you some directive feedback and guidance before you get into writing the major project. You cannot continue writing the major project until I accept your proposal. So as professional writers, we often write proposals to get people to allow us to do things. As a professional, I write proposals all the time for conferences, for research papers, in order to get funding for various projects. The solicited research proposal that we are going to be completing is discussed in Chapter 18, and you should see on page 333 a discussion of the research proposal, and then on page 345 an example of the format. There are 2 exceptions to this format. So you'll use all the headings from page 345 with the exception of a few changes. The intended audience heading, so right here you'll see I added that in. That's not actually on the report that you'll see in the book. And I modified the last heading to data sources. So your headings in your memo should be these 5 headings with this information included under each heading. And the Think About It section, I'd like you to review that before you get started. This will give you, again, pointers and tips in successfully completing the research proposal. And because I have to accept your proposal before you can move on with your research and writing, this will be an important thing to review for this week. So now I'd like to show you a sample document. I just wrote this up. I talked a little bit in week 3 about a research project that I'm currently undergoing regarding the bachelor's and master's programs in professional and technical writing here at UALR. And this is the proposal that I would have written had I needed to write a proposal that follows the guidelines from Chapter 18 in our textbook. So this shows you a specific concrete example of what your proposal should look like. It's set up in memo format, so it has to, from, date, and the regarding headings. I want to note a couple of things. First of all, this for your report will be directed to, or for your proposal will be directed to me. I'm the audience for your proposal. You're going to identify a different audience for your final project, but for the proposal, you'll be directing this directly to me. And you'll want to have a really specific reason for the proposal. So this is what I'm going to be researching. In the first section, you should model pretty closely the structure of the example in the textbook. Because this is a solicited proposal, I'm asking you to propose your research. It's actually an answer to a request. So you'll indicate what that request is. Just like with the introductory email, providing the purpose for what your document is up front is good for your audience to understand why they're reading that document. You're going to propose what you're going to study. At this point, you don't have necessarily your solution for your recommendation report. You're just pitching to me that you want to study the particular problem that you have identified. And that problem should be indicated in the statement of problem section. This really has two components. Number one, you're identifying and elaborating on the problem that you see that you want to research. So you indicated the problem really briefly in the 2.1 discussion brainstorming session with your classmates. Here's where you're going to elaborate pretty briefly, probably 4 to 5 sentences on what this specific problem is, why it needs to be addressed. You'll also at some point in here embed why you should be the person to address it. So is it impacting your community in particular? Have you seen this problem up front? In my particular proposal, I'm writing that I have 8 years of experience working with online programs, and I've seen both successful and unsuccessful implementation of online programming. So that sets me up as credible, develops my ethos as a researcher. And finally, in this statement of problem, I include a very specific statement saying exactly what I want to research. I want to research the feasibility of increasing student enrollment in our program by offering programs fully online. This is the section I said that's going to be a little bit different from the sample you see in your book. This one's a little odd because I'm writing the final proposal to the same person I'm writing the final report to the same person I'm writing the proposal to. In your proposal, the intended audience is going to be that specific audience, that person or persons you've identified can make that specific change based on the recommendations that you're writing. So just include, here's who my final report is going to be addressed to in particular. The scope of proposed study section is very important. What this is basically going to lay out are the individual components of research that you'll have to complete in order to be able to make a recommendation. And they all should be parallel. All of these elements in here should be what you're going to do in parallel form. So an assessment of current trends in the program, an assessment of current on-campus and online course rotations. So these are the very specific elements I need to research in order to come to a conclusion. The reason that the scope of proposed study section is so important is that in 2 weeks when you go to write your progress report, and I'm going to talk just very quickly about that. If you look back on the course website under assignments and report, you'll see that we're going to write a progress report in week 6. Basically what I'm asking you to do for that progress report is follow up on what you've done based on what you propose to do. So whatever you set out in the scope of proposed study section, you should address later in your progress report to indicate how far along in these particular items you have come in your research. So making these as clear as possible is going to help you understand, okay, here are the steps I need to take in order to complete the research. This sample here shows you a good kind of framework for how I'm proposing or how I'm progressing with my research and the steps that I'm going to take toward completing that research, and gives you a kind of a model that you can use as well. The final section is going to be data sources. Also indicate to me which format you're using, so MLA or APA format, so I can recognize the format you're using. This section is basically a revised version of the work that you're doing in week 3. So once you submit your database assignment to me in week 3, Monday and Tuesday of week 4, I'm going to work on giving you some feedback. You'll revise that, and then you'll basically cut and paste that document into your proposal. So this gives me an idea that you've already done some of the research required in order to move toward completing the report. So that's the last section that you'll be writing for the proposal. So that is it. We only have that one assignment this week, that proposal report. I'm going to be working on getting you feedback on your week 3 assignment as quickly as I possibly can, so you can revise that and put it into your proposal. As always, if you have any questions, just send me an email at haharris@ualr.edu, and I look forward to seeing your proposals and what you plan on doing for your research project.